We'll say that. Yeah, don't be moving chairs. So.
Hi, I'm Heather Biddington.
And I'm Amber Nolan Marks.
We're here at Stonehaven Elementary.
And we're going to tell you about our modern learning project.
First up, Tristan. He's going to share with you an outline of our modern learning project.
Hi, I'm Tristan. The Reconciliation Anthology from Stonehaven Elementary School is a collection of student work exploring ideas and issues from First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on Turtle Island. During our creative process, intermediate students studied Indigenous ideas and issues through music, visual art, science, literacy, drama, and dances. The inquiry process explored contemporary issues and their historical origins that Indigenous people face in Canada. The Reconciliation Anthology is our effort to share with others what we have learned through creative work with Indigenous artists to bring attention to First Nation, Métis, and Inuit cultures.
Thanks, Tristan. So here behind us is the process we followed in a visual format. This outline provides our capacity building through cross-curricular study that culminated in our Reconciliation Anthology that was presented last month at Newmarket High School.
What was originally planned provided a template to begin. In conference with consultants, it was clear that all the MLP priorities had been addressed and we were on the right track. As students began studying issues in history, the programming changed to accommodate inquiry and ensure maximize student engagement. The organizer behind me is different from the original. To ensure authentic teaching, we invited several community partners into the school to share their teaching and work with our students. First, we had Rod Nedagog, Bluestone Cloud. He came in through Aboriginal Services and shared the big drum and some of his own teachings and personal experiences. We also had Lou Solis come in. He's an animator with The Secret Path, the story of Wenjack, the tragic story of running away from a residential school and never making it home. We also had Becky Big Canoe come in. She's from Georgina Island. She's an Anishinaabe mother, sustainable housing proponent, writer, artist, activist, and powwow dancer. She does water walks and raises awareness to care for our waters. Natalie Burton, a Franco-Métis multidisciplinary artist, also came in. She shared her work, her culture, and then worked one-on-one with our students and painted all day long and created beautiful artworks where the students could express their culture. Conlon Delbar Sawchuk. He's a Métis singer and songwriter. He's also a member of the Métis Fiddlers. He came in and worked collaboratively with our students, with all of our intermediate classes, each class producing their own song with Conlon. I'm now going to bring in Lyndon to talk about her experiences and her learning when Natalie Burton came in to work with us.
My name is Lyndon. A part of the modern learning is having people come in and teach us about Indigenous culture in new ways. Natalie Burton, who was one of the guest speakers, came into our school and shared with us all her knowledge. She talked about the importance of symbols in the Indigenous culture and her family story, like where she was from and where her Indigenous identity came from. Since she is an artist, she decided to teach us using the creative process. We had to paint something to do with our heritage. She said that all of her artworks are about her heritage and culture, the places she most loves to go, or since she's Indigenous, the struggle they had to go through. With Natalie Burton, we had a few hours to create our artworks. I'm from Canada, and Canada is very nature-focused. The place I truly love is Grouse Mountain. It showed that I'm from Canada and I like the outdoors. Natalie Burton's art really influenced me to paint more. I found it especially fun when we got to interact with her and not just listen to her talk for hours.
Thanks, Lyndon. Now we'd like to share some of the works that the students have done and that really demonstrates the deeper learning that our students had. You will hear a song co-written by our grade 7 students and Conlon, and see visual art pieces by our grade 7 and 8 students.
Hi, I'm Josh. So during the course of the past year, our intermediate teachers, led by Miss Marks and Miss Binnington, had taken on a modern learning project about the Indigenous people of Canada. At the start of the year, many of my peers and I had some but minimal knowledge of the FMNI people. The most we knew is that the Indigenous people were not listened to by most people, including our own government. After doing more research and having more discussions, we finally learned some truths about what really happened to these people, the Indigenous people, and it really changed my opinion. It was an interactive and new learning experience, and it really helped that we did it in multiple subjects. For example, in music, we analyzed songs by the Indigenous group, A Tribe Called Red, and we even created our own song that expressed our feelings on the topic. In visual art, we also created artworks that expressed our visions visually, and we also taught back to the community. And finally, in literacy, we did persuasive essays regarding some of the troubles on reservations. For example, the housing, the water, and yeah.
Hi, my name is Jana. In art, we did a big art project about something that we've learned about the past or present Indigenous culture. I decided to do mine on residential schools, more specifically what they ate and what they were fed. If you don't know what a residential school is, it's a place where Indigenous kids were taken against their will, stripped of their dignity, and told that their cultures, traditions, and their way of life was wrong. At these schools, they were sometimes fed rotten or maggot-infested food. And if they refused to eat it in some cases, they would have it shoved down their throat or forced to eat it at their next meal. In my project, I actually had rotting food, and in that food I had phrases that they were forcefully taught. For example, "You're never going home," was written on a slip and put into the mush. If they didn't accept it, they would have the information shoved down their throats, just like the food.
I'm Jessica, and my class and I have worked on a big project for music. We have had a Métis artist named Conlon come in and teach us how to write a song. With Conlon's help, we created a song that is about a topic that we care about and a topic that is important to us. This song is about unclean water, specifically relating to First Nations reserves. Because we are going to perform the song in front of a crowd, we thought it'd be a cool idea to have a donation box. So we found a nonprofit organization called Water First. Water First is a Canadian charity that focuses on teaching First Nations people how to boil and treat large amounts of water, because many reserves are under a boil water advisory. I was shocked when Becky Big Canoe, a First Nations person that lives on the reserve in Georgina Island, told us that they were under a boil water advisory. I thought this was very unfair because we have running and clean water from our taps, but the people right next door don't have clean running water.
Along with our students, we teachers also were on our own learning journeys. So we're going to share with you now our learning, impact, success, and our challenges.
So some of the learning. The teachings from the Indigenous community was imperative with this kind of learning and teaching experience. Cultural sensitivity training opportunities offered by the board were essential and invaluable for this experience. So, like Nottakeeling Lodge and Learning Center and Woodland Cultural Center and Six Nations Reserve, to name a few.
Some other learning, we needed to be okay with learning alongside our students, to not be the expert. The very nature of studying FNMI requires an openness as teachers to listen and learn from Indigenous voices and sources.
There's many ways of learning, doing, sharing that are unique and entirely a different framework than we're mostly used to in our system. For example, not writing everything down, as it gives us permission to forget. This was a very impactful statement and quite different than the way our system usually works. Many ways of learning, doing, and sharing that are unique, and we said that.
Thank you. And now on to impact. The Reconciliation Anthology showcase impacted viewers. The audience learned about issues that they didn't know about before, like the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and even residential schools. This opened up dialogue between teachers and families and visitors, where real learning continued out into the community.
The student engagement piece, and inquiring on issues that they want to do something more about. The student voice, feeling that they weren't always told the truth and now critically looking at the world around them.
The successes we experienced, deep learning was evident as time went on through our cross-curricular study. Real connections were made as students were exposed to issues facing the FNMI communities. It impacted the quality of final products. Artworks and lyrics in music demonstrated a deeper understanding of issues faced by the FNMI communities.
Our grade 7 student engagement with awareness and need to do something more about the water crisis facing Indigenous people on Turtle Island.
Student engagement in the arts, literacy, and science. There was a lot of choice when working on culminating tasks. For example, choice in instruments used in music or materials used in our visual arts class. This facilitated the ability to truly communicate their understanding.
Indigenous community visitors' teachings made learning authentic. Their teachings were revisited, referenced, and provided the primary resource essential to this kind of project.
In terms of our challenges, the timetabling and scheduling required for a modern learning program in a timetabled system. It required incredible flexibility and cooperation among staff and administration.
Funding. To bring in these guests requires supportive administration and community to see the value and to supply the funding. We were very fortunate and got a grant from the Ontario Arts Council to do the work with Conlin.
Running the project for too long initially led to some burnout for some students and caused a little bit of disengagement. Alternative approaches to the length of time spent on the project or providing a break in the study to allow rejuvenation might be a more effective approach.
And some next steps that we're going to continue on with this modern learning project.
To take the core takeaways into a deeper direction. For example, the Water First program, an action piece within the community. Have a Water First representative work with and visit the students to continue the awareness and the benefits of the program. Also, what's next in terms of our action and attention regarding the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, the murdered and missing Indigenous women, water and infrastructure in Indigenous communities and reservations, and the Government of Canada action versus inaction.
And some teacher takeaways from this modern learning project to be shared with other teachers in the school, at the board, and some other people around the world. So through Quest, Google Documents, workshops, and opportunities like this, including all cultural sensitivity learning from a Nottakeeling Lodge and Learning Center.
And another next step might be to take the models and the products that we produced from music and art, science and literacy, and use them for future classroom work.
Together, we will continue to reflect on the successes and challenges and to work to design an improved framework for our modern learning projects.
Moving forward, and finally, we feel that the board and the teachers must maintain and nurture relations with our Indigenous community members in an authentic way and build a rapport in order to facilitate further deeper learning in a respectful and genuine way.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
From Stonehaven.
Bye.
Come on in, you guys. Bye. Bye.